This is the 22nd season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. We've got a very exciting show today. We have one and only JMW, James Watson. Big news in the James Watson camp coming out recently this week. We're going to dive into that. Plus a very historic date, January 1st, 2026. For Mr. Watson, who appears to be in his spacious home in the Ozark region. Drew Gill getting the job done this past weekend, yesterday, on a very chilly Guntersville. I think we're all going to see how important the scoping period played at Lake Guntersville. We have an Elite Series event there in just a couple of weeks where they won't be able to scope. And it was pretty interesting to watch the strategy of these guys that were going down on it. You had some old school guys. You had a Mark Davis. You had a guy like Mark Davis who was like, yeah, no, I'm going to catch him on this Carolina rig and wind in this bait. And I'm not turning on the forward facing at all. And then you had guys who literally like depended on it and then tried to make it work all the way through. You had a good mix. Well, anyway, long story short, Drew Gill's really dang good. And he's supposed to be in studio on the 21st in 2 days. I have to get with him to figure out what the schedules are. We're going to film some CTL stuff. We're going to get him live in studio. That was planned a month ago, well before his third BPT win. But 82-4 on the final day edges out Jacob Walker, 80 pounds, 15 ounces. Jacob Wheeler finds himself in an odd position, which is third place in the Angler of the Year standings on the BPT. Now they've only fished one tournament, but Jacob Wheeler in third, Burge in fourth, Bank Shaw with a very interesting day on the water ended up finishing in fifth. Justin Cooper, Wesley Strader, MDJ, Chris Lane, and Keith Carson. So a very eclectic, a very interesting group of guys who caught him a number of different ways on Lake Guntersville. I thought it was a great start for the BPT season. And then just recently, if you kind of watch any social media, you'll be like random guys driving down to Okeechobee and you'll be like, wait, what's this guy doing in Okeechobee? And it's dual threat fishing. They announced now a 60 boat field. I believe that they announced a no entry fee for these guys. And then they came out with the 60 boat field. I was actually just making sure that James had his internet and his link dialed in, and he was interested in chatting about that too. So we'll just bring him in right now. Mr. Watson, thank you for jumping on BTL. It has been a while. I believe the last time we did a show, we were at a Black Rifle Coffee Company thing in Moore, Oklahoma. We did that in person. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. That was a couple 3 years ago. I remember that. So.
It is. But thanks for jumping on BTL. I appreciate it. I know January, contrary to popular belief, is actually the busiest month for people that are in the industry, people that are professional anglers, as far as getting your stuff dialed in, getting everything done, getting your contracts done, working on it. So thanks for spending a little time with BTL this morning.
Thanks. Got a great show. I've always been a fan. Didn't realize for 20 years now, but congratulations on many, many years of success with your radio show. And I want to congratulate Drew Gill on his big win yesterday. Dude is straight up changing the footprint of professional bass fishing. Every tournament that dude fishes, he's a threat to win.
He's pretty strong. He does it a little bit differently than everyone else. I think he's done a great job of letting people kind of inside of his mind. Now, do I think maybe he churches it up a little bit with some big words? Like, do I think he might hit the thesaurus before an interview or two? Yes. But just when you talk with him, and I've had the privilege of like being in the boat with or in the truck, like with Matt Steffen, some of his buddies, when they're just talking about fishing and stuff, man, there's certain guys. And I think in any sport, you could say this, like Tiger Woods was at, where everyone would be like, man, that like, we wouldn't have even considered that shot. Like we didn't even have that shot in our brain. And yep. I'm not comparing him to Tiger Woods at this point. He only has 3 wins and no championships. But I think his brain works like that, where he sees the water, analyzes it, and fishes it a little bit differently than the average cat.
Yeah. And you said he has no championships. Does he have an AOI? I believe he probably does. But let's now, this is the way I'm going to look at it. From my perspective is he's still in diapers when it comes to longevity of the sport. You know what I'm saying? He's relatively new to the sport in as far as years of experience. He has the momentum, and he's tackled the bass fishing world in such a way that he could surpass every single angler income or, tournament winnings in a short period in the fastest, most shortest period of time. I've known Drew here for a few years now. We did a show in St. Louis. That's when I first met him before he come on the Bass Pro Tour, and right when I was getting kicked off the Bass Pro Tour. And he's very intelligent, looks at bass fishing a completely different way. And I talked to him in December when he was here doing Extreme Outdoors, doing some seminars with some other anglers. And I asked him for his permission. Of course, I want to do a meme, bass fishing in the past, and have a picture of Dave Dudley. Well, look, Dave's a funny dude, but Dave's like me. He's not the brightest tool in the shed. But then you got bass fishing now in a picture of Drew Gill, using the abacus and with encyclopedia, Chat GTP, and AI in the background.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like I was talking to one dude, and he's like, "Hey, you know how Drew Gill," and I'll ask him about this when he comes in studio as soon as we know about when that schedule is. They're like, "Hey, have you ever wondered why Drew Gill is all like usually hunched over and fishing to the side when he's scoping a bass?" And Drew's talked about this, I believe, a little bit before, and I was like, yeah, that just doesn't look comfortable. Like he's always like like looking to the side, and it's because they're like, yeah, it's because he thinks that if you have a direct line to the fish, like if it's directly in front of you and you're bringing the fish towards the boat, like on a minnow or a Nico or anything like that, that fish can see the hull of your boat and your trolling motor in the water and the prop and all that, and it changes how he acts to the bait since he's looking up, at the boat. So that's why if you ever watch him scoping, he's always scoping off to the side. So as he's bringing the bait this way, the fish just has open water when it's looking up at that bait and doesn't have the silhouette of the boat or the
silhouette or the shadow.
Yeah, I was like,
are you serious?
I mean, had that in all of your time fishing the clear waters of the Ozark region, JMFW, has that thought ever even remotely crossed your mind?
No. See the head of that pin?
Yeah.
That's the size of two things: a bass's brain and mine.
That's not true. You have pioneered some pretty crazy techniques in that area. The spoon jacking.
Yeah.
The spoon jacking. I mean, like who? I mean, did you have someone that taught you the spoon jacking thing, or was that something that you kind of figured out?
I was shown and taught that, and then I took it to the next level. So, yeah, you know who taught me the spoon jacking technique?
No.
Mike and Corey Utzler. Remember Mike Utzler ran the Lose van forever?
Sounds familiar, but I did not know either of them personally.
But Mike Utzler ran the Lose Pro Staff truck and van all over the country, setting up Lose booths forever. And his son, Corey Utzler's the same age as me, been a fishing buddy of mine. We actually won Anglers in Action championship in 2009 together at Stockton Lake. Corey's a phenomenal fisherman. Back in the day, he doesn't fish very much anymore. But those two guys are the ones that introduced me to spoon jacking. And then I took it, exploited the crap out of it all over the place, and pretty much ruined it for everybody.
He didn't ruin it for everybody. Were they doing it as aggressively as you were, as far as flipping it over the multiple ropes and putting it on 25-pound test and really getting after it? Or were they just kind of pitching it around the docks and you were the one who kind of worldwided it?
I think no. These guys weren't afraid They weren't afraid to put in particular places. They just merely didn't have a platform to exploit it the way I did. So I always give credit where credit's due. 100% credit to Mike and Corey Utzler for showing me that technique. And I even called Mike before the exposure took place on Major League Fishing on the spoonjack. And we'd always used slab spoons before that. And I told him I'd won this show and it's going to be on television, that if he wanted to go ahead and come over to the house and kick my ass now, to come on over and get it. And he asked me if I am going to, is it going to help me with my career? And I said, absolutely 100% going to help me with my career. And he said, then congratulations and thank you for letting me know. So, but the topwater deal was all me. The horny toad and a plopper, that was completely me stumbling on to, wow, how impressive this is.
But I feel like you maybe capitalized the marketability of the spoon better than the topwater thing. I think I did a deal with you to where you said one time that like everyone associates you with the plopper and the horny toad and on the top, and you have the win on it, the guy, you have all that, but you were never able, like when that happened, 16, 17, 18, that time frame, you were never able to turn that into a financial windfall. You weren't bitching about it. You were just saying that you at the time didn't understand how that worked.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I sold a ton of ploppers for River to Sea after that it was exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of them were sold after that win.
I got a box of them.
Yeah. And, but yeah, the spoon deal, didn't take long for the pressure of the spoon around here to really change the dynamics of it. So
let me ask you this, and we haven't even gotten into anything we talked about, which means it's going to be a good show, James. if you've got a real estate meeting, gun range session, any of that, feel free to let me know on your time. But otherwise, I'll keep picking your brain. So
I'm good.
In the sport of professional bass fishing as a whole, a lot of guys associated with specific things or baits, so. What percentage of those guys would you say actually kind of designed, came up with, and pioneered that bait? And what percent of those guys had kind of a situation like you where, the people behind the scenes are like, oh, everybody thinks that's that guy's bait, but it's really old Tom's who's, getting a biscuit at 5 a.m. every Saturday morning at the Hardee's and had been doing it for 40 years before he jumped in the boat with them. And now, it just kind of turned into the other guy's thing, even though it's not his thing. See where I'm going with that?
Yeah. I think I know where you're going with that. And
is that prevalent?
One name comes to mind.
I wasn't saying you don't have to name names. I'm just curious, but feel free if you want to.
I'll say one, Andy Posh. Is it Posh? Alabama rig?
Mm-hmm.
That dude.
Yeah.
I remember that dude pedaling them at the boat ramp at Pickwick when the Alabama rig came out. So he was a guy that as far as I know, his history follows us. He's the guy that really put that all together and made that happen.
Yep. And then sold it to Mans.
Yep. Yep. But I think anglers are, this is going to change. We could talk a whole 2 days about this, but the dynamics of fishing styles and what a person's known for is rapidly changing right in front of our face.
That's a good point.
There's not soon, at least on the Bass Pro Tour, because of the small field size, which will probably be cut down to 30 here real soon, guys. There's some facts about that. It'll come down the pipe soon, but an angler associating himself with a specific technique is gone. It's gone. You are looking at our sport. Now, now Randy Blockett is a friend of mine, but I'm not going deep into the weeds about it like Randy is. And I don't want everybody to throw rocks at me for my opinion. But the dynamic of the sport is forever changed, and I don't know how it will come back. And one thing I agree with Boyd, he said not too long ago, is we can't make our sport so one-dimensional. It's pretty one-dimensional now. It really is when it comes as far as to being in the top 10 of tournaments more consistently. I would take my 1 or 2 top 10s a year and call that success. But all your top 10ers generally are going to be pretty one-dimensional with a couple of techniques.
I believe Banks had 16 top 10s last year.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm maybe I've had 25 in my whole career. You know what I mean? So, but he's not. Banks ain't the only one. Look at all the other fellows that are doing it, and look at their, look at their age, and the days where you could count on a big heavy rain coming into the Ozarks lakes. You could say here around the house that, okay, Mark Tucker's going to be a force this week to reckon with all this heavy rain coming down the Osage. You know what? Tommy Biffle's going to be a force to reckon with. And he's going to flip his way through this event and probably stands to make a top 10. You can't say that nowadays. Those baits are not as relevant to top 10 and winning tournaments. They're just that you'll get your head kicked in 9 out of 10 days.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I brought you in early, and we're 18 minutes in now. This dual threat deal that dropped. I don't know a lot about it. I did get the number for the guy who's running it, the owner. Would love to get him on Bass Talk Live to really dive into the weeds. I've heard different things from different people for the last 2 years about it. And then when it all settled, there's a lot of really good anglers, James. I don't think you've seen the roster. I just saw the roster yesterday that they dropped, and it looks like there's no entry fees for this. The guys that I've talked to said that there's a lot of potential here. It sounds like they have very high expectations that they're setting for themselves at dual threat fishing. And we're going to see how this thing goes as kind of what I would say the first high dollar nationwide team tournament that dips into the 6 figures and plans on becoming a player at the top level.
Dude, I was stoked about this when they announced it. I'm excited about it. I hope it does well because I love team tournaments. I seriously do. I've had great success in team tournaments around here. I wish them guys all the luck in the world, and I'm sorry that I couldn't make it this year, and hope that in the near future I can get there with the dual threat with that format. I think it sounds phenomenal.
Like I said, I wasn't exceptionally clean as how they got to the 60 teams here. I know that there was, that with the entry fees and all that. Now it's no, but man, you look through this list that they came out with, and it's on dualthreatfishing.com with the roster. It's pretty damn strong, James. You want to run through some of these teams? Yeah,
please.
So, and if you stop me if you have any, but I'm seeing, when you combine the MLF team series over the last couple years, you combine the in-boat dynamic with ultimate match fishing, which we will get into here very shortly. And you combine the fact that probably 95% of anglers who are obsessed with the Elite Series, the NPFL, the Bass Pro Tour, all of that, they team fish more than you fish solo. I mean, unless you fish a BFL, an ABA solo, or a Bassmaster Open, you're in the boat with a buddy.
That's right. That's right. I think what's cool about the dual threat versus the MLF team, the MLF team is not really. It's the top guys get to pick their first choice. Yep. It's not like, hey, I fish really good with this guy, but unfortunately he's not available because he got scooped up in the first round.
Yeah, I would love to see them I would love to see them get that to where you get guys who want to specifically, and then like that's your guy. Like you don't see a guy like, you know, like an Allen Jr. fishing with two different guys and winning with his dad and then be with someone else.
Exactly. So
I think that'll go in the future. They might go that way.
It very well could go that way. And that's what makes dual threat better, in my opinion, as far as opportunity, is you're picking somebody that you want to fish with and saying no to somebody else that you wouldn't mind fishing with. But I like the idea. And here's something about this too, Matt, about this format is watch how it pans out, because two alpha males in the boat together might not fish team tournaments real well. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's got to be in charge.
Yeah.
And the other person, I've always had this slogan: lead, follow, or get out of the way. I know how to do all three of those things. And I fish team tournaments really well with one guy that I know of for fact on tour, and that's Fred Robanis. I do. I fish good with
dude,
Fred.
no, I laughed at because I did the fish and chips with Fred, so I fully know what a boat captained by Fred Robanis for multiple days in a team tournament is like. And you just stop questioning them and just let the shit show develop throughout the day, and know that occasionally you're going to go, dude, we just drove 30 miles and you, quote, had a feeling, and we drove 28 miles back that we just passed and we still haven't made a cast in an hour. And then he'll stop, cast out, catch one, and be like, oh, I knew there was one on that cable. And you're just sitting there going, what the heck just happened?
You described it perfectly. And in a team tournament like scenario, you got to let Fred be Fred and understand that when you – in a team tournament circumstance, when you have that feeling, you got to also say, hey, I feel this. But if you got a team partner that has to be in charge the whole time, it's probably not going to be a good team scenario. So
yeah, it could go south real quick, but it could also go high real quick. All right. I mean, I'll just name off some of the ones. I'm going to maybe skip over some. If I skip over you, you're dual threat. Unintentional, and if you think there's a reason why, hey, why did you mention it? Then call me and I'll get you on BTL and we could talk about it. I just had the kid from Utah shoot me a message, and he's like, hey man, I just missed the Elite Series by like 1 point. He was 11th. He was first man out. He's like, love listening to the show, from Utah. Any interest in this story? And I'm like, dude, I love when, I mean, very rarely do that type of people like reach out like proactively. You know how it is in this industry. You sit back and complain that you don't have any opportunities, but you're not actually putting yourself in position to have opportunities. So I called him and chatted with him. I said, dude, I appreciate you giving me the shout. I said, this will be a great story. Booked him. Can't wait to have him on. But anyway, Laker Howell and Andrew Nordby. Great boat.
They live next to each other, so they've obviously fished together.
Yes. Dylan and Carter Nutt, the Nutt brothers.
They obviously have fished together.
Paul Marks and Paul Marks Sr.
obviously fished together.
Miles Berghoff and Matt Steffen.
They have fished together, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. They're like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
The only problem is they'll go so far down the chatterbait wormhole that there's no coming back. They'd rather catch one fish on a chatterbait than 35 fish on a minnow.
Yeah, I want that fish.
Andrew Loberg, Jed Lamb. Listen to this team: Tucker Smith and Hayden Marbutt.
Have they done some time together?
You get them near water and they start with the 25-pound limit. I don't know if they fish together.
Golly.
Cal and Chris Lane.
Okay.
Keith Poche and Skip Rayborn. Now, I don't know Skip Rayborn, but Keith Poche and anybody named Skip, that's a hell of a boat.
Skip's probably got the money to front everything.
Scott and Hillary Martin.
That's made for television.
Kaz Anderson, Robert G.
They're staying with Martin, I saw.
Tyler Yvette, Jason Adams.
There you go.
Alex Perrick, Dan Coleman.
Not familiar
OG
with
Guggen Squad guy.
Okay.
Kind of low key over the last couple of years. Still pops up every now and then.
Yep.
Keith Carson, John Cox.
There you go.
Hayden Seabolt, Emil Wagner.
Dude, this is hammer.
Shane LaHue, Matt McBee.
Why did I think Shane LaHue was fishing with Matt Robertson?
He's fishing with Wendell Anderson.
Okay, Wendell, that's right.
Cooper Gallant, Blake Caps.
Wow.
Ron Nelson and Martin Villa.
What?
Now, dude, I can't make this up. I'm looking at the parents right here. We haven't halfway through.
Oh.
Like, I thought it'd be like, hey, we know a couple of these guys and the rest are just like oil guys from Texas that are just like, hey, let's go fish a big team tournament.
Yep.
Not the case. Tom Frank and Kota Kiriyama. For those who don't know Tom Frank has won a lot of money.
Is he out west guy?
Yeah, he's done. He was like the OG like Proco for a while, but won everything, and then he still wins a lot of stuff. If I skip over someone, don't get upset here. John Hunter and Brandon Coulter.
Okay, good. Coulter called me. Wasn't sure if John was going to jump in that or not, and good. I'm glad they fished together well.
Adrian Avina, Gray Buck.
Interesting.
Steve Kennedy and Matt Scheipter. Hopefully Matt has a good follow-up bait for all those fish that follow Steve's swim bait to the boat. Steve's just like, now you just stand there with that wacky rig, and when I start going, oh God, that's when you flick it in behind it.
That's right. When you start hearing me go, throw directly at my
Cody
fish.
Huff and Justin Hayden. Now, here's what I like. And as far as I understand it on the rules and regulations, they're basically saying you can use, tournament and equipment wise. Obviously, it's like the standard stuff, but I don't really see. Regarding forward-facing sonar, Dual Threat Fishing is an electronics-friendly organization and imposes no restrictions on the use of FFS or display screens. Additionally, the use of landing nets is permitted, which I like at a team tournament because there's nothing like $100,000 and your buddy knocks it off like that lives for years. The use of landing nets is permitted for any angler who chooses to use them. So here's the deal, James. I've fished a tournament before where the guy, I said, hey, I'm scoping in the middle. And he goes, yes, I've been waiting to draw someone. Do you mind if I bring my scope? And I'm like, I've been waiting to draw someone who's got a mobile scope. Let's go do it. So I also know big team tournament country. We live in big team tournament countries. Yep. On the Ozarks, on Grand and stuff. You know how this stuff works. You'll show up. Old boys will have scopes in the back, scopes in the front. They'll have freaking turrets. They'll have all sorts of type of stuff. How many of these guys are going to fish just out of their tournament boats? And how many of these guys are going to rig out multiple independent foot pedals, scoping, turrets, stuff, all sorts of stuff to take advantage of this?
Golly.
Think about it now. This is mind-blowing. A lot of these people have the means and the sponsorships to where it would behoove them to put a $50,000 electronics setup for this Dual Threat Fishing Series, James.
I know, and personally, I'd rather not see that. I just would rather personally not compete against all that. I mean, golly, but you're right. They could have them things dangling off the prop ears for all we know. So
you're going to have a lot, I think, that have independent scoping, right? Yeah. So like all the team tournament with the one, like I think part of the reason why it works good when I fish with Cranford a lot is we're both on the same page. We have the same stuff. We're looking at the same stuff in both of our boats. So when I get in with his, he runs it. He can scope there. I'm good enough to hit the fish at 80. Then he'll go make his cast and he'll check back on mine. Then I'll check on his and he'll check back on mine. It'll be after it. Boom, I'll catch it. Yeah. But like you get in the boat with a lot of guys, like you said, team dynamic, that doesn't work here. If I'm an electronics company, I am saying, okay, you have disposable income. You and your buddy are splitting stuff. You want to travel across the country. This was the press release that Bass put out 3 years ago, the NASCAR press release that said, have at it, boys. We're going to see what happens this year and then make a decision after it. And Schmidt shows up with 19 graphs and 17 transducers on his boat.
Yep.
I am really excited. I'm excited on this. I'm excited to see a boat that you look at it and go, I don't even know how half of this stuff works on it. And you will see that on Dual Threat.
I promise you'll see it on Dual Threat. You will. So how's these alpha males going to do with each other? Who's going to get to make that shot? Do you alternate through? Do you let the hot hand continue? I mean, half is half, son. I don't get. Here's why I always enjoyed team tournaments, and I was taught this by my dad and Rick Holmden, who fished years together. Teams like Terry Thomas and Bobby Sullivan. I mean, just when you're done with the day, regardless of who caught or didn't catch, here's your check and here's your check. You get half. All right. You got to be able to humble yourself, let your personal attitude or your personal pride and ego, put it to the side, put one hand on the dip net while that guy's catching fish and put them in the live well and stand back up there and get ready with the net again. Twice I've been with Fred where I'm far better off as a team member to sit aside, grab that net that fish, take that fish off, check his line, and say, go, make another cast. And the successful teams that are capable of doing that and setting their egos aside, those guys are going to put a lot of money in their pocket. So how many times have you been in a team tournament where you had the hot hand, your partner didn't, or your partners just said,
I've seen it happen. It's worked out. I've seen it happen in the U.S. Open with the AAA format. It's happened in the St. Jude. I mean, we got a $25,000 check up there because Bartuszek and I knew when to get the hell out of each other's way when one guy went on a freaking roll.
That's right. You got to get out of the way. You got to put that fish. You got to do all the culling while your buddy's up there smoking them, and you ain't caught one yet. It doesn't matter.
You know,
you're
what's
there
interesting?
For a paycheck.
And there's nothing that says, and I've heard of this happening in the big team tournaments too. It's like, hey, we're fishing out of my boat. You are a hell of an angler, and I want you to catch fish, but you get 20% of it. I cover the majority of the entry fee. Like, how many guys do you know that are like, man, hell of an angler, but they don't have $1,500 to split everything or anything? I know of some teams that, I mean, they have a deal beforehand. If you go out and you win the boat, you're getting a check for $4,000, and the guy who's fronting the most of it, he gets everything else. And that guy's cool with it because he gets to go fishing. He still has a chance to make it. He doesn't have to cover any of the expenses, but he's only, he's not splitting it 50-50. There's all sorts of wild things that you can do with this.
Yeah, you're right. And in my world growing up and stuff, it was always just half. I mean, and then if you were the guy that fronted the entry fee and fronted the gas and everything, your half turned into an extra $1,500 because all the expenses are now we just balance up on the back end. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. So if the winnings was 1,000, you split it 500, and then your buddy hands you another 100 for gas and entry fee. So
I don't know exactly how this is going to be covered. I don't know of any live stream right now on it. I know with the Martins in it and Alex Perrick in it, Alex gets 100,000 views on everything that he posts. He only posts a couple times a year now. Scott and Hillary are going to have this thing dialed into the hill. You've fished with Scott before internationally, James. Yep. You understand how that, and I mean, it's not Scott you understand how that, and I say that the operation works.
Yes.
When it's a 24/7 for the week of that tournament, with Hillary in it now, I cannot wait to watch that. That's a big get for Dual Threat for what they're going to bring to the table.
Absolutely. I enjoyed fishing with Scott, and Scott's definitely going to be the alpha in that boat. I can tell you right now. So,
I can see Hillary being like, okay, Dad, time has passed you by. I'm going to scope this fish out of this lily pad stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad we had it. That was a good conversation. I'm sure, as a guy who does a show 4 times a week, a lot of good content here, James.
You bet.
All right. Speaking of content, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, there is a new sheriff in town, a new referee, a man of many hats, James Watson. He is literally putting on a different hat, and he is literally putting on a different jersey in 2026. We are talking about ultimate match fishing with James Watson front and center this year. It's BTL on a Monday. We will be back with JMFW.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast and chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
At Beatdown Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made-in-the-USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind.
All right, welcome back. BTL on a Monday, chatting with JMFW James Worldwide Watson. I didn't mention Fisher and Naya's doing this. I think South's doing it. Kyle Patrick. My buddy James Big, Christian Greco, Matt Messer. It's a strong field.
It's unbelievable.
If it is ran right with the start that they have and the no entry fees right here, there's no reason this shouldn't be a home run.
I wish it all success, and I hope that it is a home run. Gerald and I talked about fishing it due to his knee surgery and some other conflict of schedules with the MPFL and what we got going on this year. Really made it hard to make that commitment, and I already regret not fishing it. So,
well, you got a full plate. Let's get into that. All right. Yeah. 5 days ago, Ultimate Match Fishing said it's official. James Watson is the new Ultimate Match Fishing co-host and referee. See you this summer on Outdoor Channels TV. Now,
yes,
James, this has been around since 2005, 2006. You have Joe Thomas. You have Fish that's been in there. You have Mark Randolph. I mean, this is like the Ultimate Match Fishing was around before there were made for TV things around that had the element of in it. So to me, UMF is a little bit of an institution with Mark Randolph having been there from the beginning, but then it's all about the guys on the matches. Walk me through how you ended up shoulder to shoulder with Joe Thomas, not only calling the referee as the referee, but also as the co-host of the show.
Well,
first off, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I've been talking for a few years with Joe because I've been a competitor on it, I think 4 times. I won it in 2022 at Pickwick. Always been a big fan of the show itself. And once I got on it, I was like, TV's always, I feel like, been my element, even though TV's kind of slowed down a bunch due to the wide popularity of live streaming and YouTube and everything else that's going on. But, I let Joe know a few years ago and Jim Kramer know that I'm seriously interested in shifting from full-time tournament fishing to more of what they do and what they've got going on, and being more on the water commentator or involvement with some kind of production such as theirs. And they approached me a while back and said that they needed to make some changes due to the industry and the way things are going. And I made a little investment with them, and they made some changes and brought me on board. I got a little skin in on the game.
I like it. So what can we expect? We've seen it throughout the year. Now, I mentioned that before. So I feel like there was like a 6 to 8 year period there where Ultimate Match Fishing was can't miss TV. You had guys cutting other guys' lines. You had the biggest names going up against the biggest names. You had wild strategies that were in play. You had guys in tunnels that were putting other guys on the back half that they couldn't catch. You had certain seasons that just, I mean, it was kind of like the Desperate Housewives fishing edition, but like where you'd still learn. It was everything that we wanted that is trying to be manufactured now, but it was in the TV show. But then on top of it, you had the legitimate competition. It was made for TV, but it wasn't, because you guys, I mean, you fished it 4 times, but then it seemed once the social media 2020 kind of on, I don't want to say it's gotten lost, but there's been so much more content. Like I can turn my phone on live stream. A guy can turn his phone on live stream. We can have a one-on-one match. We can make it super easy. And it's been kind of hard for UMF to kind of find its place over the last couple years. But for a decade, man, there's some magic in that format of getting 2 guys going head to head in the boat with those rules and putting a camera on them.
We want that magic to come back. It seems like, I'm guilty of being too nice at times, and it seems like that understanding and of respect for your fellow angler has gone next level, extra super nice. So we're hoping that maybe I can provoke these anglers to have more, I don't know, tenacity or like excitement about it. And I want to draw out more personality. I need to be, I tell myself this. I'm like, I'm not the star of the show. The anglers fighting against each other for that next catch is the star of the show. I want to add to the show, get the anglers amped up a little more excitement about the show, draw out the personality or lack of personality of particular anglers, and that's what we're going to do.
As far as how the dynamics are going to work, then primarily you and Joe will be kind of the face of the UMF show moving into the 2026 season.
That's correct. Yep.
And you're still going to have the stripe. I mean, I saw in your promo, you're still going to have the stripes. You're still going to be calling the penalties. The format for UMF is going to basically stay the same, where you have the 1 through 4 periods. They flip for the periods. There's a set of rules, casting in front of the boat. You guys follow around and then film it, I would assume, with the NDAs. And then it comes out on the Outdoor channel this summer.
You nailed it. Nothing about the format is changed at all. That's it. We just had to make some changes due to the atmosphere of the fishing business. I mean, I've even got one 30-second commercial that I personally get to sell to somebody, and I'm still looking for a company that wants to be a part of the show. Is part of my pay back into the show. So we're one of the things about the show that's really tough is the schedule. We've got a 7-day window that we've got to get the anglers. Believe it or not, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get 8 anglers that are able, not willing, but able to fish the show in a 1-week window. This is hard with all the scheduling. So I'm not afraid to announce this, and I can. This season will be filmed right here on Table Rock Lake, and will be in April. So, and due to scheduling on some of that too, Matt, like our champion Spencer Sheffield, he's going to have to come back to another show. He can't make it this year, so we'll move him to another season. He deserves that. He earned it. So he will not be a defending champion this year due to scheduling conflict on Table Rock. And again, to get Bassmaster Elite, to dodge the Bass Pro Tour and some of the other things that are going on, that's a big challenge in the show. We're pigeonholed to that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember, you guys have done the college edition. That was a big deal. My team partner at University of Oklahoma, Chip Porcher, they did it on Oneida back in like 2008, 2009. Like he was a big part of it. I'm trying to think someone mentioned it here, but was it Kelly Jordan who kind of exposed the flutter spoon offshore on Ultimate Match? Like there's been some techniques that UMF has kind of, guys haven't really talked about that weren't on camera until they were in the boat and, would go up there and start jacking them. But I know KJ with the spoon that blew up. And then what was the line cutting incident that
was that Luke Clausen?
I was trying to look it up, but I just remember for a solid 2 or 3 month period, the entire fishing world was talking about like the guy was fighting a fish or something. That's one of the guys like reached over and cut his line with a pair of scissors.
What was it? Was it Luke and Brent Ayler, or one or both of those guys? It might have been
like that. If anybody, I know people who. Well, no, it said I remember Luke. Yeah, Luke Clausen threw Brent Ayler in the water. I particularly like the ones where the guys have thought ahead enough to where they are like intentionally know where they're going to go to screw the dude in the back of the boat who will have no chance at ever catching a fish. Like those are like where you're driving, you're like, all right, where's he taking him? And then he like backs into a pipe and he's catching them sticking out. Like all that stuff, all the shenanigans along with the competition is all still going to be a part of it.
Yeah. And that's a strategy. There is strategy, believe it or not, in this format. And it's hard. Hell, I've had to fish against gosh dang it, where was this at? Matt Lee at Pickwick, and he won the toss, and he goes in the back of Bear Creek, and I'm catching my fish down the lake in that other big creek. Forgot on Pickwick. It was a 20-minute run, and you only got. Or 25-minute run, you only got 90 minutes to fish. So sometimes you're in. And when I won against Jacob Wheeler, he was way up the lake catching fish, and I just kept the trolling motor in the water and was fortunate enough that he was fishing the same kind of stuff upstream that I was fishing downstream, and beat his ass. So. But that don't always happen. You don't always have the right kind of deal going on out in another guy's area. So
still on Outdoor Channel, still hour long episodes.
Half hour long Outdoor Channel, World Fishing Network, and it start airing in July. So last year's show was not very good, and here's why: Lake of the Ozarks is froze over right before we got there. It was horrible fishing. I mean, I consider myself halfway decent at Lake of the Ozarks any time of year, and I struggled to get any
Was that
bites.
the one that they had a Toyota somewhere around there or something, and it took like 3.5 pounds to cash a check or something like that? Like if you caught one both days, you basically like were in the top 20?
Yes. Yep. And unfortunately, for production reasons, you can't dodge that bullet.
No.
I mean, and then you get the Karens of the world hating on you. It's like, oh, this show sucks. They go places there ain't no fish and this and that.
A lot of fish at that. Is there any? There's no. I mean, unless it's a literal tornado at the time of the filming, I don't think there's any way you can go to Table Rock in April and not catch fish.
It should be freaking phenomenal. It should be. I mean, unless there comes some kind of weather situation where the leaves are already coming on the trees, the spawn's starting. I mean, we should land right on the spawn, or right just a little bit before the spawn as they're coming up.
Particularly a lot of the FLW guys back in the day, but and like I said, it could just be because of where I landed in getting into this sport. But UMF was one of the first shows that gave anglers an opportunity to be themselves on camera and to show who they were in a tournament setting, but without their careers on the line. Well, I think it did a really good job of launching a lot of careers of talented anglers who had the personality, but hadn't been given the opportunity to show that personality on air. And it was badass.
I agree. And where did Major League Fishing really figure out this stuff?
Also, the thing with Major League Fishing is, once you went to the 10 cameras and started cutting, you still weren't able to really see that personality because it was just fish catch, fish catch, fish catch, fish catch, fish catch. And then on the Elite Series, it was, hey, I'm not here to entertain. Especially once live first came out, like there were very few guys that understood it. You're there to catch freaking fish. This was a great mixture of both. You have the chance to win $50K, to be the champion, and as long as you're performing and you're on it, you get 3 or 4 or 5 episodes that everybody's watching and everybody's talking about afterwards. Like, I think that there is a very big footprint that Ultimate Match Fishing has, and I think there is a big niche that it can continue to fill even in a day and age of endless amounts of media every single day.
I believe so as well. It's really where Major League Fishing got their idea from was Joe Thomas's show. I mean, this was the beginning of everything, and we hope that we can revive that. I think one of the things that I'm hoping we can change about this too is have more than one show a year. I mean, I've jumped up and down, and it all boils down to money and having the ability that's of sellable product. That keeps Ultimate Match Fishing from having a few events a year. So we're hoping to bring that back. We're hoping the popularity comes back with it. And we pick some great anglers with great personalities too. Mm-hmm. That's one thing you got to be careful with in how you label things. I don't know the best way to say this, but Joe likes the idea of showing off fishing talent. Jim Kramer, the production, wants to build a television show. So you got the two of them. Yes. All right. And I'm leaning more towards Jim Kramer's. I want to build a television show. I want to see personalities. I want people to go, what the hell what did he just do? Did he just make that phenomenal flip up underneath there that nobody else would ever dream of making and catching a 4-pounder? I want the best of both worlds. I want my cake and eat it too. And we're going to try to produce that kind of television show that's exciting, that makes anglers talk, makes anglers want to, fight over one of those 8 slots on this television show everywhere. And again, make it a marketable product to put in your resume. You spoke of that, Matt. When you and I started in the business and actually started fishing and competing more, we're trying to make ourselves marketable. How is it that we can get paid to go do these things, and then when I get home, I'm still profitable? Even though I spent $5,000, I come home, I didn't make a check, but that's all right. I'm profitable because I'm marketing with the right people and they want me. And that's what we want to bring to this show. We want it to say, you've been on Ultimate Match Fishing. Well, that's good on your resume. We want that.
Yep.
So
it's criminal that I haven't had Joe Thomas on BTL before. As we get closer this year, I want to make sure I get him on. I don't think a lot of people realize his kind of pedigree, not only almost a decade on the FLW tour, but he was one of those guys who started his career as a young guy with an All-American win.
Yep.
And the 100, and was one of the early guys who understood that if he's not going to be able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just straight up fishing, he was always good fishing. Yeah. Like, he won the All-American, but he was never a Kevin Van Dam. No one is. There's only one. Right. That's why there's so much marketing and so much building a platform in this. But he's a great example of a guy who got his foot in the door in the industry, took some time to understand it, and then has maximized it. I mean, dude, like, he won that All-American 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and has taken that and turned it into a career on the water, a career off the water, a career in tournaments, a career. And then obviously the last 20 years with this, with this ultimate match fishing. I would love to get him on and pick his brain.
Well, he'd love to get on the show with you. I'm certain of that, because Joe's a good guy. There's a lot I've learned in this sport and in this business from a few people, Jimmy Houston being the first and foremost. And then Joe Thomas. I mean, Jimmy just has a business mind about himself and a personality. And I saw that long time ago. It's like, man, that guy's cool. And he knows how to monetize his coolness. Joe's the same way. Joe's a good speaker. He's terrible. And I'll say this to his face all the time. I call him 10-take Joe. Oh, 10-take Joe. Because when it comes down to, hey, we got to shoot this shot right here, then Jim would be like, all right, Joe, we got to introduce Pickwick Landing as our spot this week on Ultimate Match Fishing. And Joe get up there and says, welcome to Okeechobee Lake, and we're on,
really?
In Hank Parker's Outdoor Network. What? Where did this come from? I mean, so 10-take Joe. Kramer says to me, he's saying, Watson, all right, we're here at the Chateau at Table Rock Lake. It's mid-May. All right, got it, Jim. Hey, everybody, welcome to Table Rock Lake here at the beautiful Chateau on the water, Table Rock Lake. It's May and fishing is great. I'm done, and I walk off. And Kramer's like, we're not here for an hour? This would take Joe 2 hours to shoot. So, sorry, Joe. Throw Joe right under the bus. But Joe's
different
phenomenal.
For different folks.
Sports shows is a whole nother monster. And I want to commend the NPFL for allowing anglers to do sports shows by not having a schedule that can in January and February that's so deep into tournament fishing. So believe it or not, quite a few of us anglers enjoy doing sports shows because we get paid to go do them.
And hey, with the MPFL, the press release there, I thought that the way they handled the no information to make it 30 days, where they just flat out said, we want our anglers talking about fishing with the people who are on that lake to build it. And then Bass followed suit on it. Like, I don't think people understand how much stress and anxiety the rule followers go through in trying to comply with the year-long stuff. And I mean, this isn't, I really don't want to dive into this today, but you mentioned the sports shows and expos. I think it's awesome. Yeah. You can go to a sports show and like talk about Grand Lake up until 2 days there, up until yesterday for me. But I could go to a sports show or talk about it with someone who the only thing you have in common is they've seen you fish on that lake a couple times and have some posts about it, and they're excited to talk with you about it.
And they want to ask you a question.
And they want to ask. And the fact that you can have your little sheet that tells you when you can and can't talk, and you go, what lake? Oh, yeah, we're good. Tell me about it. And they are, I mean, that is going to and has in the past built so many relationships and done more for the organizations and those anglers individually and those angler sponsors than ever going, well, he didn't get any info for a year and a half since the schedule came out. Like, that doesn't sell anything. Building the personal relationships, going to those boat shows, even though boat shows are antiquated and old, they're still a fantastic way to shake hands, to meet people, and to talk about whatever lake you want to, as long as it's not within 30 days now.
Dude, you nailed it, Matt. I mean, you nailed it. I want your fans of your show that are watching this to realize what you just said. I can promise you that in order for me to remain relevant in the sport, or really any angler that isn't of the status of the top 5% anglers who just blast them on and are pictured on every website every other week because they're blasting them on tournaments, you have to stay involved with your fan base. You have to, you said, okay, yeah, I'm looking at my phone. Okay, I'm good to talk about Grand Lake. Well, guess what else folks do when they come up to see you and because of your personality or your popularity in the sport, or you're not popular and they know who you are. They come up to you and they want to brag. They want to show you their grandson's 5-pounder that he caught on that whopper plopper you just got done talking about.
And what can you say if it's off limits? A, you're not scared to look at the phone, and B, yes, when he starts to say, and guess what he caught it on, you go,
stop,
la, 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 and run away. And now he goes, man, Watson was a dick.
Right.
And has no understanding why, and it's you trying to do the, quote, right thing.
Right. Dude, you can't. Look, I've been able to barely catch enough fish in this sport to maintain my position in the sport up until my firing of the Bass Pro Tour. All right. I always requalified. I stayed in the sport, but I've relied on my personality and my ability to make people laugh. And if you become unapproachable in the sport, you better goddamn well catch the shit out of bass. Because if you don't have a personality, you better catch a lot of dang bass.
Well said. You said the firing of the sport for MLF. Are you cool dabbling there, going there? I have some questions that I asked because I kind of opened the show with JMFW. There's a significant date that passed 19 days ago. Let me set the stage. Let's go back to press release March 29th, 2024. MLF news release plastered everywhere. Major League Fishing announced Friday that Bass Pro Tour angler James Watson has been suspended for multiple violations of the standards outlined in the 2024 Major League Fishing Angler and League Participation Agreement and the 2024 Professional Bass Tour Talent and Promotion Agreement. Watson's invitation to compete in the Bass Pro Tour has been revoked, and he is prohibited from fishing in any MLF sanctioned tournaments while serving his suspension. Watson's suspension began on March 29th, 2024, and will continue through December 31st, 2025. Watson may reapply to compete in MLF tournaments beginning with the 2026 season. So that has come and gone. I have not seen any press releases, statements, news releases, or Instagram or Facebook posts. Where do we stand in our MLF Major League Fishing nearly 2-year ban, Watson?
Well, first off, I haven't registered for any tournaments that are MLF sanctioned as of today yet. Okay. There are a couple I'd love to fish.
Are you planning on reapplying for? It says Watson may reapply to compete in MLF tournaments beginning with the 2026. Is that something that you may explore the option of reapplying to see if that is even an option?
Well, first off, what do you do? What do you do as an angler if you want to fish a BFL, Matt?
You make sure that you're a member of whatever league that tournament is in, and then you sign up for said tournament.
Is that applying?
Well, here's what I would say no, because, well, it said league agreement. He is prohibited from fishing any Major League Fishing sanctioned tournament.
Yes.
Okay. Watson may reapply to compete in MLF tournaments beginning with 2026.
What?
Okay. Yeah, I would say that that's applying because it's not, they didn't say that they revoked your MLF membership.
There you go, buddy. Do you see the smoke and mirrors? It never ends.
I'm just before we go, I'm just asking your opinions on this stuff. I've had Boyd on, I've had Chase on, I've had NP, I've had everybody on here, but this is a valid question. This is news.
It is a valid question. It's a valid question my attorney asked after spending thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm not a victim. I'm not acting a victim. I'm not being a effing crybaby like some people have said. I just want to understand myself. I want to understand the rule that I violated. I want to understand, why did you get banned, or why did I get banned for 2 seasons? What does reapply mean? Does that mean I can send my entry fee in for a BFL here at the end of January on Table Rock Lake and actually fish it? Or do I have to formally engage with a fancy letter coming from my attorney directed at MLF or Stan Kroenke, whose attorneys piled on my attorney like freaking unbelievably large amount of attorneys after my attorney? I mean, what does it mean? All right. Here's what I can tell you. Do I miss fishing MLF events? Absolutely. Do I dislike MLF employees or people that run MLF tournaments? No. But what I don't understand, or I do understand, and what the general public doesn't understand, is there was a reason they give me a 2-year ban. Boyd wanted to make sure that my career average was forever erased, and the ability for me to come back to the Bass Pro Tour is truly from scratch. And setting me aside, knowing the opportunities that, and my involvement with BFLs and Toyota Series, he's like, I'm going to show this guy never to F with me, and he can't fish anything that we got, period. And mission accomplished. It worked. So I didn't get to fish anything. Now you can almost have a tragic accident talked about, running boats and breaking rules and doing these other things. And then those particular tragic circumstances only lead to a suspension for a few months. My suspension, because I've clashed with Boyd in his conflict of interest and his involvement in selecting and sponsoring and participating and all the other conflicts of interest, I just simply got tired of it. Our sport, and whether you agree or not, I can tell you, I believe 100%, our sport changed dramatically twice. 2019, when the Jihad took place, all right, and Bass Pro Tour stood up.
That would be the split.
That's right. All right.
Between Bass and MLF. That's right. And the end of FLW and MLF kind of took place at the end of 2019. This thing had all been done, but that year, kind of 2019, was the year of the great split. Before that, it was between the TBF and the Federation with Bass. No one remembers that. That was a big deal then, but this was when 75% of the anglers chose to go fish the Bass Pro Tour, leaving the Elite Series out kind of in the cold. New ownership at Bass, coupled with the fall of FLW, the rise of MLF, the BPT versus the Elite Series. The Elite Series then went and took a lot of the top anglers off of the Invitationals, which were the FLW Tour at the time, that brought them in, brought up the top 10 or 15 in each of the Bassmaster Opens divisions, yada, yada. That's what you just mentioned.
You just pulled out the holy Bible of the Jihad itself in the bass fishing world. That just happened.
Quit saying that word. I don't want to get demonetized.
Okay, sorry about that. Oh, yeah. You can't say those words. Sorry. Beat me out. But yeah, that was a big change. And another big change was when the purchase of FLW come on. Okay. And then the latest great big change was shortly before my unraveling. was when we got a phone call in November of 23, unannounced phone call meeting, all anglers on the line. And Boyd says that in order for us to survive in the sport, that we're going to a 50-man roster.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I was shocked. I know there's certain anglers inside the industry that weren't shocked, that already were privy to that information. It was not an angler-driven decision to do that. It was a Boyd Duckett decision to do that, and maybe a handful of very successfully on paper and financially successful tournament winnings anglers that had something to do with that. But in all actuality, on that phone call, the press release was already made. The call was made to us anglers, and roughly 40%, almost 50% of that field were given their walk-in papers. And now what are you going to do? Josh Bertrand, what are you going to do if you don't make this cut? Brent Chapman, what are you going to do if you don't make this? James Watson, what are you going to do if you don't make this cut? We were promised all these roses and daisies and butterflies and rainbows and all this stuff. And it was so short-lived, and it was so it was masterfully designed by what I feel one person. And it's like, how in the world did we screw this up? How did we screw up such a successful product in Major League Fishing, then stood up the Bass Pro Tour, and everything was so promising that now we got to be shuffling around, wondering if we're even going to have a position in the sport anymore. I made one critical error because I believed in the MLF so much and what it did for my career on the cups or the selects, that I regret to this day accepting my invitation and not talking to Bruce Akins and going where Matt Airy and Shane LeCue and Cobb and Canterbury and some of the other FLW guys went, and that was a good relationship with Bruce Akins back in the day, Bassmaster. I could have picked up the phone. I know without a doubt I would have been over on the elites, probably still fishing today.
Let me ask you this then. What percent of sponsorship in 2026 really cares where their sponsored anglers are fishing compared to where that was 4 years ago in 2022?
Great question. And it changed so dramatically, Matt, since then, that it does not any longer, in my opinion, matter if you're at the Bass Pro Tour or the Bassmaster Elites. Doesn't matter. And a lot of the change has been the amount of ask. A lot of these younger anglers aren't monetizing what we used to once monetize big time. They're just not. I don't know if that's lack of effort or lack of need or really lack of anything. Maybe it's just the commitment to go fish. Maybe they don't have a family started or a secondary job. I mean, back in the day in fishing, when I was coming, I was watching fishing in the late 80s and early 90s and so on and so forth. Most of those anglers that competed had secondary jobs. And even up until 2010 and 15, a lot of anglers had secondary jobs. They solely couldn't just survive on fishing. And that's changed somehow. I see a lot more financially well-off individuals coming through the ranks of fishing that for whatever reason don't have nearly the financial concerns that most of us other anglers in our 40s and 50s do.
Now, let's throw the third league in. Let's throw the MPFL in, which you're going to be fishing this year, which is so interesting to me because there's a ton of momentum from the inside out with NPFL from the way just me talking, just the guys that I talk with, the people who fish the NPFL. But there's also a struggle with getting meaningful eyeballs on the NPFL that turns viewership into sustainable profit because of how much live streaming of top level events exist and the cost and all that. I think Brad would venture to say that that's been the biggest learning curve from the very first year up until now, is trying to generate profit through the live stream because of how difficult it is to do, quite frankly. Came out of the gates, guns blazing, 10 cameras, 10 boats, all that, hundreds of hours of live stream, working and finding it. You're fishing the NPFL this year. Your thoughts on where they fit into the fishing landscape, first as an angler, and second, put your business hat on. People, you're a business guy. You know how that works. Their value in the industry from a business standpoint.
Okay, from an angler standpoint, I love the NPFL because it is just traditional fishing, where spinner bait, crank bait, and rig, and pitching bushes and stuff is the game to play. You're not competing against the technology of electronics. I love a 3-day format, to be honest with you. Do I want the format? And this is where a lot of anglers are different. I personally wish that the day 3 was cut to the top 50 or 10 places past the check line.
Just put you out of your misery.
Put you out of your misery. Yeah, take what points you got and get on down the road.
Unless you're a Zach Burge, you could show up and check in 2 days, days 2 and 3, like a savage.
It's like, he is savage. That dude is a fishing freaking phenomenon. So, but also if you're down here's if you're worth anything as an angler and you're down in the lower portion of the tournament standings after 2 days, if you're worth anything at all, you're not going to do what you did days 1 and 2 all over again on day 3. You're going to flip that boat around and take it to the other end of the lake, and the possibilities of you landing on or near somebody that's doing well have greatly increased. And that's the scary part I have.
I see what you're saying. You're not saying that. You're saying the full field is impacting the top end more so than you're just saving a few bucks because you're already out. I see what I wasn't thinking of it that way, James.
Well, it's a scary thought to think that I'm coming around a pocket on day 3 and I'm probably in my normal position of 80th place. And, I only got 20 more places to still fall to the bottom, but I'm coming around a pocket and I run into a top 10er or a camera coming around the next pocket. And I've just jacked a couple in front of this guy, unbeknownst to me. And now, if you don't know that particular guy, you might think that he just jumped your hole. And he might say that on live.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary situation to be in.
Never even thought of that. That's a great point.
It's a horrible situation to be in. And I've seen it on live. I've seen where other anglers say, I can't believe this guy's here.
And if you're worth your salt and you've got confidence in your ability, you're gonna be in a spot of the lake that you've never been in, doing something that you hadn't done during practice because you're trying to make something happen to get enough points to make the damn championship.
Exactly.
It's the guy who goes and grinds it out for 3 days where he knows he's not going to catch anything. It doesn't change anything. And that's why you're in last place. But I mean, it's time to freaking do a 180 after 2 days of sucking.
Yeah. And God forbid you run into a guy that's got a camera with him. And and I think I've got a great reputation amongst other anglers of not being a hole jumper. Mm-hmm. But what if you got somebody that you don't know? And there's a lot of newer names into the NPFL that people aren't aware of. Great anglers, but no name anglers. And if he's one of the guys on the top, or one of the guys that comes around the corner, and somebody with a camera boat sees that guy and says, "Who is that guy? Well, why is he here?" I know why he's here. He wouldn't be here if he didn't see me. That's the most horrifying thing that could ever happen personally to me, is somebody to accuse me of not being a good competitor. And that inadvertently does and will happen because of that third day. So
you good on time?
Huh?
You good on time?
Yeah, I'm good on time.
All right. I'm having a good time discussing. I got some more stuff I want to discuss. So
Yeah.
I'll go into it.
Yeah.
All right. So Pickwick Pirate, who's always on the instant feedback, gives great comments. He leaves this comment. I'm going somewhere with this. He goes, "The big three trails are ultimate media companies. I thought media companies made more money with more views." But he says something there that I think is big. First thing he says is the big three trails. So I get in the feedback and I said, "What are your big three?" He says Bass, NPFL, and MLF. No, it is so big that it is a given in the hardcore BTL listener, viewer, fan bases that the NPFL is part of the big three right now. To me, that tells me that regardless of what happens with that company, with that industry from October 30th, 2019, when Bass Fan, we had it on Bass Zone 2, coming in 2021, plans for a new tournament trail announced. The fact that on January 19th, 2026, you can have this comment right there, tells me that for all the BS they've had to put up with and the mistakes that they've made, the NPFL has done a lot of things right.
I agree 100%. I'm glad you brought this up. And that is the big three. And I'm not saying it because I'm a part of any of them. It is the big three. And when is the when are the Mercuries and the other companies of the world? I shouldn't say Mercury, because Mercury did help MPFL.
Mm-hmm.
When are some of the other industry names going to realize that the hardcore tournament bass fisherman, like the Pickwick Pirate right there, follows the NPFL?
When NPFL can go to those companies with an ad send and show the numbers.
That's right.
Until then, like, I think there might a lot of people that do it, but that's what I'm saying with their TV stuff, with their coverage. You know, they brought Ken Duke on. You guys have great roundtables. They've had you on for years.
Yep.
They're trying to figure that out. But right now, you want to talk about professional anglers fighting for the same slice of the pie with endemic sponsorships. Talk about the organizations fighting for the slice of the different pie. And that's the ad dollars that people are willing to spend.
And I
think that's where they're trying to figure out where the most juice in that lemon is to squeeze to be able to go and say, okay, look at our field, look at who we've got, look at what we've got, and now look at these numbers. I think a lot of reason is it's hard to get the live stream numbers.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the business side I don't have the answer for, Matt. I personally am involved with the NPFL. Of course, I love them. I like what they're doing. I like their no BS. How they run a tournament is so just good. Like, I know at any given point, if the tournament, one of the persons that assist in the tournament tells me something, they're saying it for a reason, and I better follow that instruction. Because if I don't, and I've been told, I know that I, even myself, could be eliminated from that tournament because there is no favoritism when it's given there. The NPFL looks at every angler from my friend Harry Moore, who's been fishing bass tournaments forever. Not a huge success in the bass fishing world at all, but Harry Moore stands a chance of getting DQ'd. I stand a chance of getting DQ'd. Gerald gets a chance of being DQ'd. It doesn't matter who you are. Brad's going to DQ your ass when a DQ is warranted. And as a competitor, I respect that. I fear that that, and I want every angler that I compete against also be fearful of their opportunity to get DQ'd or reprimanded for their breaking of the rule, inadvertently or on purpose.
Okay, so here's some of my other thoughts on the NPFL that I've never shared publicly. Okay, like 17 of the top 20 guys current either BPT or Elite Series anglers, right?
Okay.
So you have $100,000 for the first place, and you have the checks and stuff.
Yeah,
guys talk about how great it is to be there, but I don't feel as though a large majority of those, quote, Elite Series anglers are relying on the NPFL as their sole source of income or as their primary publicity platform.
correct.
So they have less skin in the game with the NPFL than they do with the Elite Series or the BPT or any organization where they're relying on to make it. Therefore, they're more likely to just show up, do their practice, fish their tournament, and go on with their lives and not really care, in quotation marks, about what's going on behind the scenes, the health of the organization, whatever, because it's there. The check's cash.
Yep.
The vibe is good. It's a great time. Their life isn't over if they don't have a good tournament, and it's a great bonus if they have a great tournament. But if those same anglers then decided, you know what, I'm going to leave bass and NPFL is going to be my primary source of income, I think the same issues that we've seen since the beginning of time that I talk about that has happened with the Assumption Bass Club in the 1990s when I'm standing around the boat and there's two 60-year-old dudes that I'm sitting there as an 18-year-old and they're going, what do you mean the damn marina's off limits? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'll leave. Well, fine, I'll leave. Here's your damn dues. And they drive off. Same thing would happen in the NPFL. I don't think you will ever have a harmonious, well-ran league where there isn't controversy behind it ever.
Well,
I think right now it's a sweet spot. It's a perfect spot for them to be in until there's more people who care, whose livelihood depends on the NPFL. Is that, you see where I'm coming?
I do. Here and until some of that slice of the pie gets heavier on investments with the league,
right?
Then that will start to change the direction that you're saying. If Mercury would pump, I say Mercury because I'm sponsored by Mercury and I know they help out all the leagues. If Mercury would start pumping the same kind of money into NPFL that they do the Elites or MLF, until that happens, our payback won't go up. The guys come over are swinging. They're looking at that first place money. I've always looked at the down the scale money. It's more reasonable to think that I'm going to finish in the top 50 of a 150-man tournament than I am going to finish first in a 100-man tournament. Mm-hmm. So I look at that down the pay scale. If down the pay money starts to get bigger in the NPFL, I think that'd be a huge, huge deal. If NPFL could really hit a home run and get one of the big box stores or somebody that really like throws $1 million into the game. And I'm not so sure that this didn't already happen for Dual Threat. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I catch what you're throwing out there, JMFW.
Yeah. So this very well could already happened in the Dual Threat world, from going from 100 boat field to 60, from going from entry fees to no entry fees. Where the hell did that money come from? It didn't come from an angler. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the NPFL, we're playing on our money because we're addicts. We're crack addicts. And the NPFL is a crack dealer, just like MLF's a crack dealer and Bassmaster's crack dealers. And
you had a disagreement with your dealer a few years back, JMFW.
I know you did. I know.
Said, no, that's what you did. He said, no more product.
Yeah, no more product.
Call me in 26.
Call me in 26. Get your life right, Bobby. And so until that product gets a little bit better, but these guys that come from the elites, I think they've won nearly every dang tournament there is, with the exception of a handful, because they're elite anglers and they're really super good fishermen. But the NPFL needs to get some more financial backing to make the payback better and keep doing the things that they're doing. So I hope that they do. I hope to become not just an angler with them. I would much rather do what Luke and Fat Cat are doing with them, and of course become not an employee, but somebody involved
talent.
Talent. The days of me running up and down the road and competing aren't as fun or appealing as it used to be. Main reason for that is, Matt, is not the competitive part of me. It's the monetization part of me. I mean, just a few years ago on the Bass Pro Tour, and I'm not saying this to be braggadocious or anything, I was making really good money. And I wasn't catching any more bass than I caught the last time I fished. It just ain't there. It's not there. It's not lack of it's not lack of popularity or anything like that. Social media account, at least for my own, has grown, keeps growing. Every once in a while something will come up, raise its head, and I'll do something funny or smart, and my popularity will go up again. It doesn't seem to be dying. So why can't I monetize this? Well, because it's just you can't. The Black Rifle coffees are not in the sport anymore. General Tire, not in the sport anymore. Look at all the companies that aren't in the sport anymore.
But I'll also say this, from the way I understand, and I am not claiming to be a business guru by any means, James, but there is also a marketing strategy for a lot of the companies that have been in the sport to where they're looking for a sport that hits a specific demographic that they can get in at a certain price point, and their strategy getting into it isn't, hey, let's make this a lifelong partnership with it, but it's, hey, let's hit this demographic, saturate it for 3 to 5 years, and then move on to the next thing, whether that's dirt track racing or tractor pulling or whatever it is. So I say that to say that there is a point of this to where. Can you go to commercial? Yeah. We could 100% take a commercial.
I got something I got to do real quick, and I'll come right back.
All right. Yeah. James Watson calls a commercial. Yeah. You got 3 minutes, James. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. James Watson just called his own commercial. We'll be back BTL on a Monday. We'll dive into that topic because I think there's a lot to talk about there.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
I fish in some of the worst elements across the country. Spring, that's a giant, dude. Summer, oh my gosh. Hi, look at that thing. Winter. It's so cold. And fall. Got a big one. That's awesome. Being comfortable and staying dry is the only option. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
All right, welcome back. BTL, that was a great call. I have 2 commercial breaks, and then usually on like a good show, like we're an hour and 36 minutes in, I end up not running one. And then I sit there and worry for the next 12 hours about it until I get through the next day. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And I see where you're going at with this. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I partnered up with Punch Cigars a few years ago.
Okay.
I knew Punch Cigars was going to be a one-hit wonder. Their offer to me was really good. I mean, and of course, all year long, great communication with a great company. I always kept throwing it in there. It's like, hey guys, this is working good for me. I hope it is. Oh, everything's going great on our end. I'm like, hey, let's keep in the future. If you guys need me, put me to work. You need me to go somewhere, call me. And but I knew in a nutshell it was going to be a one-hit wonder. It was a 1-year contract with hopes of being longer, of course. But you're right. The different companies come into the sport. Jack Link's beef jerky, for example. General Tire. General Tire had a great run. They sold a lot of tires from anglers promoting their product.
Mowers. They're all 3 to 5 year. I feel like the mower companies all run the same deal. Like, this is the demographic we want to hit. We're going to saturate it for 3 to 5 years, and we're going to move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Not a bad thing. I'm just saying there are people who are looking at it going, look, they're losing. And it doesn't matter what organization it is or what they're saying. Look, they're losing. There are instances where, there's been some that are like, hey, this isn't worth the ad spend, or some that say this is too much drama. But there's also a lot where that has always been the plan, whether that organization is flourishing and they're selling a crap ton of the product or not. That's a marketing strategy by someone with a master's degree who runs where their ad dollars spend. And there's always been an exit strategy when there was an entry strategy.
That's right. And in that, I've seen it. Gerald, another guy that's great marketing, great following, way bigger than my following could ever be. His credentials are way better than mine can ever be. Therefore, he demands a higher price than I demand. But he and I both talk all the time on the business side of things. He's got some hardcore, long-term relationships in the sport that are still there that he depends on and that are doing well for him. But what he's seen is a decline, as well as I've seen a decline in those Punch Cigar people that come in and dip their toe into the market for a couple of years. I'm telling you, Matt, I'm not afraid to ask for that support or that marketing. And here's my deliverables to you, Punch Cigars pitch. Trust me, I can pitch it way better than I can pitch it way better than somebody that's fishing resumes 10 times better than mine.
But what you're seeing is a decrease in the number of that category of non-endemics that are exploring professional bass fishing as an option.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And the new fish catching stars of this sport are not getting paid for the boat wraps that they're running out there. Matt, have you heard of some of the prices these guys get paid for a full truck and boat wrap?
Honestly, not in the past 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I haven't asked a kid like, hey, what are you getting paid for that deal? So I don't.
Well, professionally, there's that your approach is straight and to the point. But there is.
Yeah, I mean, I know a roundabout. So roundabout numbers for me. What I always just assumed was boat and truck. This is for the last 15 years. $20,000 to $40,000, but no less than $20,000 for the boat and the truck wrap for the whole year. That doesn't matter what it is. That's just kind of the gold standard. It could go up to $1 million, but you also have some guys that literally do it for free. In some cases, I've heard of guys wrapping their own boats a week before the Elite Series started, paying the $2,500 because they didn't have their shit together enough to freaking get at least someone to pay for the boat wrap.
You nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. A lot of these guys are, and a lot of us would do it for our 10% off when we start into the sport. But if you're fishing at the highest level of the sport, you're no longer a startup in the sport. Demand what's due. And wrapping a truck and boat for $12,000 is insulting. It's insulting. And too many people are doing it for free at all levels of fishing. And more people are wrapping their boat and truck full and spending the money out of their pocket to do it. And here's where I'm going with that. And here's where it's really sliding downhill really fast and really hard is. Why pay somebody if you can get it for free? And our sport's going in a direction where new people into the sport fishing at lower levels are truck and boat wraps. And I guarantee you they're not getting paid remotely close to what the full-time angler or somebody in my shoes gets paid.
I'm bouncing. I'm excited for this. So This is not me doing this at all. I know about this because of Mark Jeffries. Mark Jeffries has talked about this before, but I'm pumped that I was able to find it so quickly. So what I am going to pull up is this screen. At this screen is the PBA, Professional Bowling Association, individual players sponsor guidelines that outlines. I'm not saying whether this is good or bad. I'm just saying that this exists. Makes people think. I love to make people think on BTL here. James, you've done a great job of that today in the first hour and 42 minutes. That outlines where you can have your logos, what logos they can be, where they are, and what the minimum fee paid to the player is for said sponsorship. This is the minimum. So if you're watching someone bowling on, you can look at their jersey now on TV. This was 2024. Front collar, minimum fee paid to player $825. Back collar, combined collar positions, minimum $1,650. Right sleeve, PBA logo, left sleeve, that's your Bass logo and all that stuff, your American flag. Left sleeve, left, right, front chest, chest, front, center, $11,000. 5 and 6 combined is $22,000. Back of collar, back collar yoke. Obviously, you see the back of the bowlers a lot as they bowl, so those are going to be a lot more valuable. Alternate positioned, complete integrated branding of jersey. Examples are designed to look like that of a Snickers bar wrapper, the multiple images / uses of products / services, which extend the allowable limits of the specific logos, $27,500.
Woo!
And then here's this. Everything has to be approved. Here's the logo stuff. What this has done in this sport, which I don't know whether it's bigger or smaller. It seems to be fairly comparable, but as far as like size and kind of nicheness, that exists.
So that was for the league.
That was for the elite series of bowling.
Okay.
Or the MLF, the BPT of bowling, the PBA, individual player. So you bowl, you make it, you're on the PBA now, and you want to have an approved. So they also have like, I'm making this very layman's terms. It's very complex, just like everything else is. But I want to have a JMFW logo on the front of my collar. The minimum for that is $825.
That money goes to the bowler.
That money goes to the bowler, but listen to this. This is the other thing. So the front collar will carry 2 approved positions reserved for product registered manufacturer logos, individual sponsors, personal hashtags or websites, and or PBA approved commercial logos. Logos in text in either of these positions must be a maximum height of 0.80 inches.
Wow.
It goes through. I mean, look at the description is there on every single thing on what it is: the side logo, the upper logo, the lower logo, and all that.
Is that anything like the old FLW days?
I never saw one. I mean, I thought the FLW days was you made the final day and then you like went into a trailer and they said, "Hey James, does that one fit?" And if it did, then you were the freaking Alpo food guy for the next day.
Yep. But then they had teams later on, or the rest of the year, the Chevy team, the Snickers team, the Alpo team. But then but like you just stated, in order for you to even be remotely close to having any live or television time, if you didn't have one of these associated jerseys, you didn't get coverage.
Yeah. What I'm saying is a completely integrated branded jersey what that would prevent, good or bad or indifferent, like I said, it's just a conversation, James. That would prevent a guy from rolling up to day one of the Bassmaster Elite Series on it with a wrap boat and a wrap truck.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid $5,000.
Yeah.
And pulling up next to a dude who's been doing it for 30 years, trying to do the deal, he's getting paid $70,000. It would put a minimum that would then add brand value. Hey, if you want to get into it, this is, and it would also benefit a guy who has no marketing experience, doesn't understand what he's asking for. He goes to a company and the company goes, "What are you thinking?" He can say, I'm thinking 27,500 because legally, based on the rules that I signed for, this is what you want. This is your starting spot.
Yeah.
How much easier is that if you say, "Hey, bud, you want to wrap the boat in the truck? Minimum, here's how much it cost." Now, you want to do that minimum deal, have at it. Go do the minimum deal. That's up to you. But what you're not doing is devaluing all the others unintentionally.
Right. I liked it. You know, some anglers,
5 years ago, Jeffries was on this. He showed not this one because this is 2024, but in the late teens, early 20s, Jeffries did like, this is how the PGA does it. Like he got the number one bowler in the world, Chris Prather, has a Strike King fishing logo on his bowling jersey for a year. Jeffries has it hanging in his studio.
Nice.
Chris likes to fish. Strike King had the association with Strike King. Like everyone thought it was a bowling product. It was actually a fishing product. They met all the requirements of this. They paid the fee to have that on, and Chris had it on his jersey, and they sent him a bunch of product for it.
That's awesome.
And Jeffries like facilitated that just because he got his rocks off on it. You know what I mean? Like he's old former professional bowler, runs BT. Oh, I know this, I know that, I know this. Yeah, Chris got paid. He got paid. It was a cool deal.
Yeah, that's cool. You know, the cups, the MLF cups were jerseys like that. And I can tell you this, and this is no rocks being thrown at other anglers. I'm just being honest with this. Quite a few anglers did not want to wear or approve of the cup jerseys because they couldn't put their Phoenix boat logo on that jersey, or there was a conflicting sponsor on that particular jersey that hindered them in a way that it upset their sponsor. And I always said to this, you're probably working for the wrong sponsors. If they're upset that you're on a show and that show might show a logo from a competing sponsor, it had to be finessed better than this. Maybe we didn't. If you were a Suzuki motor guy and Mercury was a sponsor of this event, could there be somewhere in the middle that one, I didn't display the Suzuki logo, and two, I didn't have to display the Mercury logo? You know, it was such a balancing act that a lot of anglers were upset because they said, well, I just can't monetize it because Mercury is not a sponsor of that event. Therefore, I cannot wear my Mercury logo. Okay, you can't wear your Mercury logo, but you're not happening to wear an Evinrude logo. Well, yeah, that's right. And I said, then why wouldn't your sponsor see a value in your brand, you personally, being on this show? Just because you can't wear their logo? That to me was always a ridiculous argument. I mean, you're not wearing a conflicting logo, but you're not allowed to wear your logo, and you don't see any value in this show. That's BS. You know, so I always like the opportunity is the exposure first that you're getting. Second is your brand allowed to be exploited on, you know, can you talk about Mercury? No, you can't talk about it. Okay, I can't talk about
stuff like that in bowling that they can. I'm not saying it's perfect because, like, I think so. Like, there's this is Chris right here who fishes. Okay, but if you notice, like, this guy probably was 70 pounds soaking wet. Holy cow! Yeah. but if you notice, so like logos, approved logos in the middle, all the same logos on the exact sides, all the same logos on the shoulder. So I'm not saying that I'm a huge fan of the conformity. I'm not against it. I mean, it is a professional sport, whatever. It looks better. But, you know, you can look and say, okay, if that is on his jersey, you know, there's a minimum he's getting paid. He's a minimum he's getting paid, a minimum he's getting paid. It's not like this guy's standing there going, what the hell? You got paid. Wait, you got paid $5,000 for the hammer and Brunswick? You know, paid me $15.
Yeah. I wish there was a standard like that. Wheeler and I had conversations about this a few years ago. It's like, there should be minimums. You know, what's your minimum in a product deal minimum on this category? Let's say category. Yeah. Like real category, a reel. What should the bare minimum be for a sponsorship from a real company? Well, I think the bare minimum should be 25 to 30 reels plus $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. You know, what should somebody pay you to be on your jersey and promoting your product? And a lot of it's going to have to do too is how big is your following? How big is your following? Is your following big enough to warrant a $6,000 a year deal or $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year deal? Mm-hmm. But somewhere you got to have a starting point. So,
and do you, I also, there's also a part of me that even thinks I don't think any of us knows what the landscape of professional bass fishing is going to look like in 5 years. I mean, to me, there's also a part of me that could be, you know, remember when we were worried about sponsor logos and jerseys and things like that? Like because that was the sponsor, the jersey, the boat, the truck, that was valuable because as an angler, your imprint was in magazines, was in television shows, was in brief clips. And the only thing that they got of that logo was, hey, he's a Strike King pro. No one else would have known that you ran a Bass Cat unless they saw you in a Bass Cat with the Bass Cat hat on running down the lake, and that sold it. I like James Watson, what I know. Oh, he runs a Bass Cat. In 2026, you don't have to do that to show the value of that brand in your everyday life.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at a magazine now to know that you run a Bass Cat because hi, I'm James Watson. I'm on the water right here. We're at Table Rock, blah, blah, blah. Look, I got my new boat. I did this. You're out. Like, you're showing that product integrated into your daily life because of the changes in social media and how everyone consumes the digital media, to where I think that patch is less valuable than it has been before, because that patch in itself, people know that you get paid for that. But when they see you living that product, utilizing that product, enjoying that product, it making your life better, it making your fishing day better, that's way more valuable than just slapping it on the side of the boat.
That's right.
We get further and further away from that.
Yep. Yes. I think carpet decals are more valuable than the outside boat wrap. Because most of the time, most of your photos are done inside your boat.
I'm not saying it's not valuable. It's still exceptionally valuable. Your color scheme, the title sponsors, because there's a whole nother, and I could have a psychologist on here and marketing experts that could say, hey, you know, you're going to subliminally, and there's going to be an imprint that you make that you're going to be more likely. When you had the Black Rifle Coffee wrap, I promise you there were more people that bought Black Rifle Coffee that followed you, but didn't buy the Black Rifle Coffee thinking, specifically, there were people, I'm sure, but who just bought the Black Rifle Coffee because it seemed familiar to them and they liked it and they weren't exactly sure why. And it's because they followed you and they liked you.
Yep.
And that's why they bought the Black Rifle Coffee.
And they tried it.
It wasn't like they said, I'm buying this because of James Watson. It's because they liked fishing. It was part of their life. And they went,
that's right.
Oh, that looks familiar. I'm going to try it.
That's right. And
so that's where it's still exceptionally valuable.
That's right. And that's where the politician side of things come in. The brand awareness is brought to the forefront. The juggling act with me is it's hard at times, especially when you've been working with companies for quite some time and their product's pretty, one dimensional. It's hard to not do shameless sponsor plugs. It's hard. There is
shameless sponsor plugs. I just ran 9 commercials, James.
That's right.
That's the ultimate shameless sponsor plug.
It is, and I had to block a dude off my social media not too long ago because I was promoting something pretty hard, and all he did, and this guy was relentless, like to the point where, he's like, dude, you need to take a chill pill. And he was like, tired of you promoting, start showing more fish, and I'm like, dude, I got a job I got to do too. And, just chill out. And just recognize that there's a balancing act that's hard to do at times. So, yeah.
And I struggle with that big time on the show. Like we're 2 hours in now, James.
Yeah.
I haven't asked you one technique related fishing question to where we dive into it. That's what I'm saying. We've carried over 350 people live for this entire morning. We've talked about industry stuff behind the scenes. Here's a shameless plug. I just did the bilge with Chris and Trait. Was the first guest. They'd been gone for a year, came back. If you guys want to get me a little bit more unfiltered where I'm not, hosting BTL.
I saw the promo. I will be watching.
But we didn't talk like much any fishing stuff. I am struggling now with like, hey, there's all these great behind the story industry stuff, but like I also know there's a big portion of the people that also want to hear about fishing.
Yeah.
And I think on the social media and on that aspect of it too, that's a big topic that I struggle with is, do I do hey, we're doing 2 hours on an eco rig today, or do I do a show like we did today where we cover 5 or 6 different topics, and now people, when they watch it or when they know it, know more about behind the scenes? But has this show made them a better angler? No. Is that important?
I don't know. I mean, if they wanted more of to watch a show about, you'd have it in your thumbnail. Like today on BTL, we're going to talk about Nico rigging with James Watson.
And I'm going to do that. I got some cool stuff coming down. Like we are going to, I enjoy both.
You know what? I get more involvement question wise and stuff on over the last couple of years is, besides fishing boat docks, my partnership with Black Rain Ordnance, my house build and construction.
That's the 2 things you show on your social media, James.
Yes. And short-term rentals, nightly rentals.
That's what you show on your social media.
Yeah. And I just got a partnership with Silencer Co. with this deal that's coming down the pipe. So soon I'll be announcing and showing off. The problem with the whole gun situation is, though, I get shadow banned all the time.
Yeah.
Because of it. But I still have a popular viewership.
Well, I mean, I also assume that that's a sponsorship company that has a marketing ad agency that understands that it's going to be difficult to get that product out, and then understands how to work on that.
But these things that I've been talking about, the guns and the short-term nightly rentals and in the construction, I've been posting about them because that's what engages more people. And then I'll throw some fishing stuff in there too. But the people I'm engaging with all found me through the fishing world. Yeah.
Hey, were you lined up to have a fudge wrap and the organization said, yeah, no, that doesn't comply with our, I've heard that as a rumor, James, that they were like, yeah, James is going to have, there's a town in Missouri. You drive through it every time. It's Uranus, Missouri. Factory there, and keep it at PG. There's all sorts of things you can do with it, and you did it. And at the same time, you kind of had the lead sinker company that was interestingly shaped. I had heard that you went to I don't know which organization was, with a very eclectic wrap, and they were like, "Yeah, no, that's a hard no."
No, that
okay.
all that is, those two situations are all BS. All right. Okay. My good friend Louis King owns Uranus Fudge Factory, 2 locations, one in Indiana and one off I-44 near Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah.
Been a small, when I say small, a small paying sponsor of mine. Like, we're buddies.
So that was mainly you stirring the pot.
That was somebody else stirring the pot for me, which is great too, by the way. The only time I went and talked about a specific rap was in 18 and 19 and 20 was I was working with Make America Great Again folks who run all the MAGA hats and shirts and work directly with President Trump. They had put an offer for a truck and boat ramp that was a pretty damn good, had potential to be really good. Okay. And before we really investigated the potential and what we could do with it, I took it, and I was told that might be offensive to viewers, and the Kroenke group that owns MLF probably wouldn't like that because their political views were different than.
So it would have basically been a campaign ad.
It would have been a Trump Make America Great Again.
So it would have been an ad for something, coming up that you're doing. It's a call to ad. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. The only thing that I could think of that would be very similar to that was Matt Sfar back on the Elite Series had a buddy who was a movie producer, had a movie that was coming out but wasn't coming out yet. So he wrapped Matt Sfar's boat in the movie that was coming out with, like, in theaters, October, whatever, with the wrap for the movie on it. Parallel to like wrapping it for a upcoming campaign.
That's right. And that's what the talk was about. And again, it was short-lived.
Yeah.
And of course I was told no, which I understand the importance of it. So
you had the Balls Deep sponsorship for a while, which was, led tackle companies. So you gave me a couple, you gave me some you gave me some stickers that a bunch of my buddies in Illinois put on their boats. They still have every once in a while going for Christmas, and I'll still see what it'll say it across there. And I'm like, that was so outlandish.
It is hilarious.
So outlandish.
It was hilarious. And that was a good deal for a couple of years. Again, short-lived. That company got sold, and it had potential to do better, but again, you're dealing with an owner that had multiple irons in the fire that were way more profitable than Balls Deep Tackle. So, yeah.
So that was a bit of a troll as well.
Yeah, that was a novelty. There you go.
There you go.
There it is. And
forgot about that.
But it was so funny, and I could get away with it, dude. Where most people's personalities could not. And that's something unique about my brand is I tend to cuss and say inappropriate things from time to time, but again, helping my neighbor or helping a friend or anybody else. I think I'm an approachable guy, but I'm also, not afraid to say, hey man, that's kind of, that's not right. Where a lot of anglers are afraid to step out there because their only way of making a living is rooted in this field. And therefore, if I disrupt anything in this field or make myself controversial in this field, I could lose Daiwa as a sponsor. I could upset somebody. Trust me, all the people that I do business with, my sponsors that I do business with, the only ones that ever got upset at me, Garmin. And I love Garmin. I love all the folks there, but they chose not to do business with me because I never talked about forward-facing sonar. And I never talked bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I lost my deal with Garmin over Fish and Boat Docks deal. They were said that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
And they're also a multi-billion-dollar company that people don't understand, that like has a whole bunch of stuff. So like if there's no reason for them in certain instances, you know what I mean? They're like, if someone says, this might be a pain in the ass later down the road.
Yeah. But I also know that I promoted and sold a lot of Garmin product.
Yeah.
Even though I might not have sold a black box or a live scope, I sold a lot of turrets for Right Hike.
I'll tell you one thing. There was a time and place in this sport where it was very difficult to get people to put a Garmin on their vessel.
It was. And
very difficult.
It was. And I was one of the guys back in the day. You know, it was Guido and Dion, Scott Martin. I know Scanlon was one of the first guys. You know, I jumped from Lowrance and called Garmin, and I was like, man, do you have any room on your team? Not for a paycheck, but for product. And then I got them on, and then that was back in the Panoptic days, you know. But man, their product's super. I'm still a big fan of Garmin's products. Easy to use. I've got some Hummingbirds. I never had Hummingbird before, but I'm in Hummingbird. Got some Hummingbird product now. But man, this sport's changed a bunch. You know, where do we go from here? You know, I still feel like I'm a sellable asset to companies. I tell you what else I got here, Matt, that other guys don't have. I've got 2 very large homes, beautiful resort style homes here on Table Rock Lake. I can park a gazillion boats. I can host your company retreat within reason with 7 bedrooms in one house, 6 bedrooms.
What am I looking it up on VRBO if I want to pull the page up?
Yeah.
Where do I type in VRBO to find these things? Because I saw one of them while it was being made. That's the last time I've been there.
Yeah, it might be in Lampe, Missouri. I don't know how to pull it because I just changed property management companies. So it's just now recently got reloaded on Airbnb because I had a question just a minute ago about it before we come on air. But what is my niche is, well, you know, I can have Strike King, for example. I can have the guys and the team from Strike King here to host an event. You know, they might bring 4, 5, 6 guys in a trailer. Well, instead of Strike King going and spending $10,000 for the week to go stay at Big Cedar Lodge or go somewhere, I have the whole event right here. Everybody has their own bedroom. They do all that. I just saved the company $10,000. We eat well, we sleep well, everybody's comfortable. You don't have to lock your stuff up. That's a value to Strike King, who takes great care of me. But I just brought value to them by saving them a gob of money. And that's one of the things that I'm pressing out here in the world to the silencer co's. The Black Rain Ordinance guys will come here every once in a while just to get away from work. They want to be around the lake. I can VIP somebody from your company, your best client. I can say, okay, you with our deal here, I get X amount of dollars for the year, this product, and you get 2 4-day weekends of your choice to use however you want. You and the owner of the company come use it with his family, or you can give it away as a prize. I don't care. That's the direction I'm taking my career into, and how to monetize and leverage my assets. So same way on Ultimate Match Fishing.
Yep.
You'll see on this show, I'll do a commercial about my properties here, and to do one thing, attract people to Table Rock Lake and get them to rent short-term nightly rental properties here on Table Rock Lake and boost the economy for Table Rock Lake. That's a goal of mine. That's part of my strategic plan and being Ultimate Match Fishing. So
I like it, James. Here's how I want to kind of wrap this up. You mentioned it at the end. Last week, we obviously lost Dion Hibden, who's a legend. Ozark. I want to say Ozark legend, but you look at what he's done, what his family did, 3 generations in professional bass fishing, obviously with Guido and Dion. You're in the Ozarks. You're around that. Like, you're in the neck of the woods of the Hibdens. What has that family meant to bass fishing? What has it meant to Ozark fishing? Just kind of your thoughts on the passing of Dion and how he left the sport a better place than both him or his dad found it when they got into it.
Absolutely shocked about that news. And Dion had health issues and stuff, but definitely gone too soon at 58. His boys will carry on his legacy as fishermen. I know they're great fishermen right here still. Dion and Guido and Stella were anchors in the fishing community for years, and my relationship to them was not real super deep by any means, but I've known them for years through the fishing world. And John Hendricks at Lucky Strike. Lucky Strike was a big sponsor and stuff with Dion and Guido for years, and that's how I got to know them very little bit. I did know of them. They're just good, down to earth country folk. Do anything for you. If they passed you going down the highway, they'd stop and help you change your tire, which, if you knew my background, I would not stop and help you change your tire. I would tell you, call my AAA. Here's my number. 3 things I said I'd never do again when I got out of the Army, just in case I've never told you this, Matt. I'm not shitting in the woods. I'm not sleeping on the ground or in a tent. And I'm not changing tires or breaking track ever, no matter what.
That's three good things. You running a Puma or a Lynx this year?
The Lynx, I'm stoked about it. You see, I changed hats because I knew you're a basket sponsored event too here. So I'm really excited about the Lynx. I've had it a few months here, and I've got a couple more break-in hours to go, and looking forward to the
break those things in. You just get them on the water and just open them up.
Just open it up. He said, just go 90 right off the. Remember when
they want to go fast? Give them what they want, James.
Dude, do you remember when Sprague and I fished a deal with you and Jeffries here?
Yeah, the one-on-one
for $5,000.
Yeah, the one-on-one where we had the deal. It was live, but the way we had it, you could only fish one side of the docks because the metal on the docks would kill the signal on the other side. So you guys would get close to a dock, and I'd be like, nope, not there. So I was a nightmare. I felt so much stress on that, trying to tell you guys were fishing for $5,000
of our money.
I had to be like, of your own money. Yeah. I was like, hey, you can't fish this dock, and you're catching them every cast. I was with Sprague. You were with Dave.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah. No, that was badass.
That was so much fun, but that was my first experience that week driving. I was showing Jeff around. It's like, here's how we're going to put on a good show, and here's how we're going to be super competitive. And he let me drive his boat. And I've got trimmed out for like 77 miles an hour. All right. And I'm like, oh man. And Sprague's over there, and he looks at me and gives me, and he does this. He goes like this. He goes, and I'm like, no. And so I trim it up a little bit more, and it goes, now it's going 78 miles an hour. And Sprague's look at me and he's like, you big puss. And he goes, and I'm like, what? He goes, and I'm oh my God, we're like 80 miles an hour. It's like, this is unreal.
Here it is.
There it is.
This was, we'll see how this is a long time ago. I mean, this is Jeffries. There you guys are, spoon jacket.
Dude, that's so much fun. We caught him. If I don't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you guys definitely went on a friggin' tear. I know Sprague had so that no one had obviously forward facing or anything then.
No.
And I mean, like, could you imagine what that, like, because they hadn't been molested, like, you'd just be pulling hundreds of fish out from under the dock that were seeing the flash?
Dude, I had one, and I do this in one of my talks at the sports shows about spoon jack and boat docks. I caught 37 out of one stall one time. 37.
There's the spoon.
Yep.
There's the largie.
Yep.
And then we would weigh it. Now, I
I
wasn't
can't remember.
with
I can't
you,
remember
but
how many we caught that day.
it'll have the standing. Here it is. Number of fish at that point. This was just the first period, so you each had 4. I believe Sprague put on a freaking clinic for a while, but
Yeah, he got on
too.
he got on one of those glory hole docks.
You've got one there. Let's see if we can.
Yeah.
This was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Here it is. 1 second. There, Sprague's hooked up. You're hooked up.
Yeah, I had one
Body.
install. I had a stall we had to leave because we couldn't keep signal, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to hurt me." And yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then I had to
hooked up, stuck in a boat dock. You're trying to weigh one that you caught out of a boat dock.
yeah, and you're trying not to get your boat all skinned up, and it was so
that was
much
the
fun.
biggest state of the art scales. Those are the ones that
Yeah, were them?
those are the ones at the select. No,
Yes, selects.
selects were using that.
Yep.
Boom.
What year was this?
I had to have been 2017. I
16?
know Jeffrey's like good Lord.
That had to be
Fish
16
on
or
every
17.
damn time. Yeah,
16
that's pretty good for a 4-hour match. Oh yeah, it rained 24. You're up to like 40 fish each, and then you guys did I remember Jeffries was losing his mind about the weather, and this is at your house.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yep. That was they put it up. We put it up 7 years ago. But
Well, that's what I call a great opportunity. And
yeah,
you know,
2017, 18.
I always found it sometimes comical, like in a way, like not so funny comical, but where anglers will say no to something, and I would say yes to it because I was like, this might turn into something. This might be an opportunity. This is exposure. So when you called me Friday, say, hey, you want to go on BTL? I said I had the ability to do so, and if I do, I always say absolutely yes, because what you do for me, Matt, is you put me in front of your fans who hopefully now become my fans.
Mm-hmm. Which I like it. I mean, like Luke Duncan is going to be a different interview than BTL, and a Mercer is going to be a much different interview than BTL. Like, I mean, that's why I think I encourage people to encourage the anglers to get on as many as they can.
Yeah, and you've given me a platform that I wouldn't have on a Monday morning, and I appreciate that. And that's why I'm where I'm at in my life. It's not because I'm super smart. Mostly because I'm super good looking, but not so super smart, is I never know what this opportunity might turn into for me. Therefore, I'm going to take that chance and take that opportunity, because some of the best situations in my life and some of the most financial benefits in my life come from an opportunity that I really didn't even know was an opportunity. So it's just like now, I still got a 30-second commercial I want to sell to a company or a person that wants to run about 300 commercials throughout the life of the TV show Ultimate Match Fishing. And maybe somebody on this show will be, hey, I'm interested in it. You know, we're talking about it. Really inexpensive way to get yourself out there, 300 national commercials and 10-second reads in that show.
And if you're headed to a lot of stuff going on Table Rock this like JMFW, if you're headed to Table Rock this year, like you said, those properties that I know you've been working on for the last better part of 7, 8, 9 years to get them freaking absolutely dialed in and perfect. What's the best way to get a hold of you or to find those properties, whether it's a family, a retreat, a sponsor, all that?
Well, they can email me at jameswatsonbass@gmail.com or give me a call on my telephone, and you can put that up there if you want, Matt. You might not.
Yeah, I think maybe an email would probably be a better option than a telephone number.
Yep.
JMFW.
James Watson Bass at Gmail. So.
There you go. I just saved you a lot of heartache.
Hey, you can also on Instagram message me on Instagram. Not so much Facebook, but Instagram. I can read it easier. Yeah. So
you weren't kidding when you said that. Not too smart, but good looking part. All right, James. I appreciate the heck out of it. That was 2 hours and 21 minutes of your life that you just spent on Bass Talk Live. So
yeah, well, it was enjoyable, and you're call me anytime, bud.
All right, we'll do. I need to call you to talk about that golf deal.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Missouri Golf and Fish
I'll call you and get in on that. I've back obsessed with golf again. Just what I need, another expensive hobby. So
there you go. All right, bud. Thank you.
All right. See you, James.
See you guys.
All right. That is the one and only James Watson. Great show today. Talked a lot about, covered a lot of topics. Can't thank him enough for coming on and giving his opinions. Like I said, there are parts of that show where I just sit back and let James Watson do James Watson. And I just provide the platform with BTL. So I'm not exactly sure who we have on tomorrow. I'm working on a couple of different things. Kind of depends on when Drew Gill's coming into town. Kind of depends on a couple of things, but this replay will be out. And then stay tuned, because I do the thumbnails now on YouTube. So once I know who it is, I can do it, and then I can put it up, and you can see if you're subscribed to the BTL channel and you get notifications when new shows are made, then you'll know, and then you can check and then decide whether that's something that tickles your fancy or not. All right, this has been another edition of Bass Talk Live. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.